Show me a
Good evening, nerds, and welcome. Oh, wait, did I start too early? Nope. Anyway, good evening, nerds, and welcome to episode 59 of Geeklife Live, your source for all the nerdy news you need to know. I'm your host with the headband, Jake the Great, aka Gonzo Gone Live. And joining me today is the man who made 5 beats a day for 3 summers. It's Toddly Awesome. How you doing tonight, Kev?
Doing good, Jake. I'm doing good. Not much change. Still doing 5 beats a day. Okay, that's a lie, but I'm dabbling back and forth here and there.
Dabbling,
Yeah.
dabbling a beat for 5 days, whatever.
Yeah.
But joining us this week, we also have a very special guest host, up and coming mobile gaming legend, Frisky 2x cosplay. Frisky, how are you doing tonight?
Hello, I'm doing pretty good. I'm very glad to be here. Glad to join this illustrious cast of people. So I'm very excited to be here today.
Awesome. Well, I mean, honestly, since it's your first show, we've definitely got to hit a few rapid fire questions. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Frisky?
The man behind Frisky. I'm pretty much your typical everyday cosplayer that does everything under the sun for enjoyment. I love to stream. I've been doing this mobile gaming stuff for years, but I started streaming and taking serious for the past couple years between making YouTubes and doing things like that. And overall, yeah, this is it's such a weird avenue. Everyone tells me doing mobile gaming, sticking with it and making it my platform to do stuff with, but it's been a fruitful and enjoyable for different reasons more than most learning the world and overall.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I guess, I mean, that really caveats into the next kind of rapid fire question for you. What got you started in mobile gaming?
The honest answer is because I didn't have a setup. I wanted to stream. I didn't have all the fancy smashy things like a good mic, camera, camcorder, all this or that. All I had was my cell phone, but I wanted to create content and to put content out. So I found a few different different mobile platforms that's kind of like Twitch and things like that, just for mobile gaming. And I started there, and I would stream there and would create content, and they had things kind of like a restream program that would allow you to multi-stream for free. So you can put it on Twitch, you can put it on YouTube or whatever. And I did that, and slowly but for surely, I started growing a community of people who also enjoyed mobile games. Or
Okay. Oh, we're good.
Psych.
Oh, yeah.
Tech overlords aren't letting us go anywhere.
Yeah, guys, if you're confused as to what's happening, our producer, the Dodrick, was telling us that we were dropping, but it looks like we're all good now. So,
yeah.
Well, awesome, Frisky. Well, what games are you streaming these days, especially on mobile?
Mostly my mobile games that I'm streaming is my tried and true Mobile Legends. Repping one of the shirts now that I got from them, but Mobile Legends is kind of like my bread and butter, which is seemingly League of Legends, even though now they have their own MOBA finally on the mobile platform that came out last year. But between Mobile Legends and playing other competitive games, things like other battle royales and stuff, there's so many. I've been playing this thing called Stumble Guys now, which is basically a fake Fall Guys. And it's fun and it's ridiculous, and there's competitive fighters that I've been playing now, and it's just been overall. But my main game is probably just Mobile Legends.
Awesome. Well, if the people wanted to find you, where could they do that?
Oh, you can definitely look me up by typing in Frisky 2x cosplay in your Twitch bar, or on your YouTube, or on your Facebook, anywhere. Basically, if you look up Frisky 2x or Frisky 2x cosplay over on TikTok, things like that, you'll find me where I have short form, long form content, all that fun stuff.
Awesome. Well, now that we've gotten to know you a little bit better, let's get back into the show. We got a great show planned for you guys, actually, and we've got some amazing headlines this week. So, Dodd, do the doddle.
The Dotties. I think it was.
Cue music.
Tonight at 11.
I'm checking the job. And that was a test of the emergency media warning system.
In other news, I do the cha-cha like a sissy girl.
Cue music.
Tonight at 11.
I'm checking the job.
For
Double the Dottie.
Double Dottie.
Awesome. Well, number one in this week's headline: a Crunchyroll bought a popular anime video store and has removed all of the good stuff. All the hentai's gone, guys. Crunchyroll announced it is acquiring its acquisition of Right Stuff, a popular online video game publisher and distributor of anime products. The anime streaming service touted its merger, leading to an expanded e-commerce platform that would allow it to serve a wider array of customers with anime goodies. However, the CEO of FAKKU, or Faku, I guess, anyway, the world's largest distributor of adult manga, said that Crunchyroll left out one important detail of its acquisition: the removal of hentai. In lieu of hentai products no longer being available on Right Stuff, a Crunchyroll representative said that the customers can find previously available mature-themed content on a new storefront, the Euro Anime Store. So, according to Euro Anime's FAQ page, the company has worked with Right Stuff for many years. So it looks like you're still going to be able to get the stuff that you want, you degenerates. But what do you guys think about the continued gentrification of anime through these mega corporations? Like cutting out our hentai? What next?
Yeah, I don't. I mean, look, I don't know. I don't know if I'm equipped to answer this.
So you're not pro hentai?
No. I'm
So you are pro hentai.
It's not my cup of tea, but I don't think we should deprive others and judge others if that is.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
No, it's an interesting move. I mean, when you acquire something that I guess has some users that they've known they can come here for a product, to take that away and put it somewhere else just seems a little jarring. But
yeah,
I guess we're starting to see a lot more of a cleanup within the anime community, right? Like Crunchyroll's buying everything, right? Like, and so with that merger from Funimation and everything, like, but then I just hope that all the weebs are still going to be able to get their slice of life with a little bit of hentai.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're gonna find that no matter what.
No matter what.
Yeah, the loud people will be loud, of course, about being upset, which they have every right to be. It's kind of like I said, it's jarring. It's like, oh, I'm used to going here and having all my stuff in one spot. I got my regular, then I got my, but I think at the end of the day that they will learn to love their new home, and they will enjoy their hentai like always. But I think it is like just that overall sense, like the bigger thing is that they're continuously buying out all of these companies, no matter if they do have hentai in their bracket, like they will get it out. If there's something unsavory to the public eye, they will get rid of it and just keep assimilating, keep taking all these before it becomes like a Disney almost, where it's like, are they monopolizing too much on the anime side of things?
I think that's the fear. I think that's what made this story kind of pop up on a lot of radars, was that, like, with Crunchyroll and everything continuing to suck up all of these companies, LOL, suck off all these companies. I mean, anyway, but with them continuing to do that, it does get scary, but at least they're providing, I guess, an alternative. Like you said, like there's at least, some place that people can find their hentai. So everybody calm down. I know the world's, But next up in this week's headlines, lawyer to pay Activision for not playing Call of Duty. A lawsuit against Activision Blizzard was dismissed last month because, according to a judge in the Southern California District Court where the complaint was brought, the plaintiffs did not play enough Call of Duty.
Yeah.
They didn't play enough to make an informed case against the publisher. For once in Activision's Blizzard's many continuous legal battles, things actually ended smoothly for them, though. Call of Duty Infinite Warfare is a first-person shooter game, not first and third person as alleged, and Sean Brooks does not conduct a scripted battle scene in a high-fashion couture shopping mall, the court said in its ruling in favor of Activision. The plaintiff's counsel could have easily verified these facts prior to filing the factually based complaint, just as the court easily verified them within the first hour and a half of playing the game. So essentially, what happened here is, Activision Blizzard was being sued. In that lawsuit, the plaintiffs, or the plaintiffs said that it was a first and third person shooter game, and then like talked about some scripted shooting at a mall or whatever in the game, when that doesn't happen in Call of Duty and it's not a third person game. And so the judge essentially was able to throw this case out because he was said that they didn't play enough Call of Duty to sue Call of Duty.
But what were they suing them
so-
for?
I think this was one of it was a case against them for if it was a oh man, I read it whenever I was kind of putting this together, but Activision and Blizzard have a few lawsuits against them. This is one of the few. This is one of the few that's not.
This is the lower
around...
tier on the list of things that they've been getting hit with.
Okay.
Well, because this one's not around any of the sexual assault stuff, and I think this one's not around like the actual. I think this one was specifically around Call of Duty being considered a must-have game or something, which is a new lawsuit that they have with kind of like the whole monopoly thing of like they may be putting Call of Duty out under, I think it was just Xbox or whatever now. And so anyway,
the class action shit.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's been coming up, but one part of the lawsuit was essentially that these lawyers didn't play enough Call of Duty to actively sue them.
That's wild. It's also a hell of a precedent.
It is, yeah. But I mean, it kind of makes sense in a way, because it's like it's almost like how if you if you've played enough hours into it, then you actually have a verifiable complaint, right? Like if you look at reviews on Steam, say, for instance, if you see somebody that has tons of hours into that game with a negative review, you're like, okay, they gave it a shot. I get that negative review. That's warranted. But then if they've only played like an hour and they're like, this game's absolute trash, you're like, oh, okay, well, maybe not. And so I get that the judge was like, how can you guys even sue these people when you don't know what the game is?
Right.
And so I actually agree with the judge on this one. What do you guys think?
I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm guessing by the law, you can't, if you, I guess, disclose in either inadvertently or purposely that you hadn't spent enough time on this thing that you're claiming is faulty, then you can't. I think just objectively, you can't just sit here and take the case. So I guess that it makes sense in that regard, but I think it's just I would like to know what they were suing for too. I think that's kind of important, But again, Activision's like going through some. They are pretty shitty apparently, but so maybe this is the seeds that they had sown for all these years of, incompetence and harassment and shit. I don't know.
It's over, because I want to say I have the scene in my head that they were talking about, like that where you're shooting up the airport or blah blah blah.
It was the airport, yeah.
And
so they just they were like,
they just heard
department.
they just heard what was out there, but like I said, for them not to play it and not to know what actually happened, and then to definitively state that these are the reasons, blah blah blah, and is when none of those things are actually in the game. I can see that definitely, that the court would rule in their favor, saying, you know what, y'all didn't even play it, y'all don't even have your facts straight. Obviously, you don't care enough about this case to do the bare minimum to even research or to play the part you're even talking about, and especially just thinking about especially we've been seeing lately in court cases with like the Johnny Depp and the recent Alec Jones, where these judges are just fed up at this point with
Alex Jones
with the people, and with these people that has they got that larger than lifestyle type of thing. So when it comes to these cases, I can even see that judge, even though this case isn't a high profile case, but they're tired and they're just like, yo, look, you don't even know what you're talking about. You didn't even play the game. This not even in there. Throw this out. All right, next. And the more to save time.
Correct. I think it's just like the judges across the country are just like, come correct. Like, we're sick and tired of this Bush League shit. People just walking up here, like talking nonsense. Come here with your facts. And so
and I think that's what that came down to. Like you said, especially with their other cases, because they've done their dirt. They have so much already, but this is just something. And I agree that this isn't it. This is not the one. Let's just get this over with. Give them their one win. Everybody gets one. Spider-Man said it, and just keep it going and get to what they need to actually talk to them about or whatever. So I agree, but I agree with them that Activision get this one win because it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, next up in the headlines, because I mean that one's definitely a doozy. I mean, I tried to pick some good ones this week that were a little bit like, especially for that one. I've never heard of anybody being sued for not playing a video game.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
But this one, a little bit more of a downer in a way. But trans streamer Keffels says that Twitch banned her for openly talking about abuse that she receives. Trans streamer Clara Keffels Sorrenti, or yeah, I think I got that right. Yeah, I'm really good at names. Made a name for herself on Twitch as an outspoken advocate of LGBTQ plus issues in late February of this year, after Texas Governor Greg Abbott decided, or is it George or Greg? I thought it was George. I thought it was Greg.
Greg Abbott.
Yeah, I wrote George. Anyway, I was like, who the fuck is George? As I was reading it, I was like, his name's Greg. Anyway, Greg Abbott, he did a bunch of fuck shit, especially around family and protective services to investigate the parents of trans kids for child abuse. Crazy. Now Sorrenti says that she has been banned for a month for trying during a recent live stream to show past examples of hateful abuse that she receives. According to Sorrentini, the Twitch ban was for repeated hateful slurs or symbols. She said the slurs existed in a thumbnail for a live stream and depicted past comments made about her. Before the channel was suspended, the planned Twitch stream was seemingly going to be about how controversial political streamer Stephen Destiny Bonnell has allegedly weaponized his own fans and users on a hate forum, Kiwi Farms, to heap harassment on her. She is now re-editing that stream to appear on YouTube, and it looks like she'll be streaming exclusively on YouTube going forward. So Twitch definitely lost a good one. What do you guys think of the ban here? Another long list to add to the fuck ups on Twitch's part?
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely a big fuck up. I think this boils down to a lot of mainly them making automation, some type of algorithm, robot, whatever you want to label it as,
Yeah.
be the thing that curates and targets people, because it's like, the program looks for whatever, and if they see that, it's like automatic ban. But that we've known that there are so many people that do these things and know how to get around it and still be able to do this stuff, these horrible things, and they're Twitch, live daily and this, that, and the other. But then you have someone, and it was like it's a thumbnail, and those keywords are in it, and it's several of those keywords, and they're like, "Oh, hey, that's hate speech," and they don't recognize that, hey, the context of this is about me receiving said hate speech.
Yeah.
Which then double downs on on her getting banned, which even amplifies their point even more, into saying this is why we need to talk about this, because when we do talk about it, it seems like the system is trying to shut us up matter of factly with like a whole month ban. And if she
Pretty
doesn't have
crazy.
a way to dispute it and things of this night, it's just horrible all around. And I definitely I'm in her favor. Like, she should have her voice, be able to tell her story, especially on the platform that has these people who are abusing her and being able to weaponize their followers, or not even say weaponize, but they don't try to stop or wrangle their followers in truthfully with like a compassion, because everybody their own person. I understand that, but like, if you say, okay guys, you stop, or you actually give a thorough heartbreak, hey, please, if you're a fan, and give intentions to not do this, and you usually don't see neither, but usually when you do, you see like a bogus call out, call to
Yeah.
arms to say no, don't do this. But you're gonna always have your horrible people that's gonna keep doing it, and I hate this for her. And this is even more of a screw up on Twitch's part, along with everything else that's just been happening. And now to finally see that she's going over to YouTube, like I said, I think this is a huge win for YouTube in that sense on the gaming sphere, because I know there's just been that rivalry of trying to get them acquire more people. But I think this is just going to go to show that if she's able to have her voice heard and amplified, and people see this, I think it's just going to be more matter of factly, especially for the trans community, and for women and people alike. They're going to be like, okay, maybe we want to go to YouTube because we at least know our voice will be able to be heard and at least not, shut up in that way. But
I think you nailed it with the automation thing. That's a
hmm
big part of
Yeah.
the problem here is that they want to automate everything. And so instead of just taking it case by case, like, yeah, of course, I understand automating, like banning whenever somebody's in like chat over here, like saying a bunch of hateful bullshit, right? Like, if there's certain words they want to flag for that and like kind of like put people like, hush or quiet or whatever the fuck it is, like mute them, and stuff like that's kind of understandable. But then, like, when you're actually just banning people's, channels because of something they have in a thumbnail and it's actually things they have received on your platform, you know what I mean? Like, and then you're banning them just for highlighting it, like
Yeah.
just not a good look. It's another one, like, and we use Twitch here, right? We use YouTube too sometimes, and so it's just like I just really hope eventually they can start to right the ship, and I think it just comes with actually hiring people to do this shit. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, that may be like a revolutionary idea, but like, like, does everything have to be sifted through some fucking computer? Like, come on, like.
hmm
Right.
But anyway, well, next up in the headlines, a little bit more of a, I guess, some great news, especially for PC gamers. Nintendo Switch's Joy-Con controllers now work on Steam. Thanks to a new update, Steam users can use their Nintendo Switch Joy-Con controllers to play their PC games. In addition to improving support for already compatible Nintendo Online controllers, this update includes support for Nintendo Switch's Joy-Con controllers. The two halves of the Joy-Cons can be used either together individually as mini controllers or combined into pairs, but only if the player is running Steam on PC with a motherboard that supports Bluetooth or connected to a standalone third-party Bluetooth adapter. So this has actually been something that people have been clamoring about for a long time. I think the only controllers you could really use on a PC without having to do something special were basically anything that Steam made, whatever that failed controller bullshit was, or or an Xbox controller. I know Xbox controllers, and I think there's some people who figured out ways to use PlayStation controllers as well. But what do you guys think about this move? Exciting? Anybody? I know, like, Frisky, you're more of a mobile gamer.
Yeah.
Kev, you're more of a console gamer. I may be the only PC gamer here, so I'm excited about the move. But what about you guys?
Yeah, I'm excited. I think it's exciting just to be able to see Nintendo kind of be flexible and willing enough to go off outside of their own platforms, right? Like they don't usually do these cross-company competitor collaborations. So I think it's a huge step and kind of sets a precedent for hopefully they can do some other stuff.
hmm Yeah, I definitely agree. I see that. I think it speaks volume just for them, Nintendo as a company, to
Hmm.
work with any other thing in any other capacity, no matter what it is, because we
Yeah.
know how tight they are with their franchises, their IPs and stuff. So for them to make this an accessibility option for those who have Joy Cons and who has a controller, things like that, to be able to be pair up, be it they're playing Smash or whatever
Smash is a
other
big one, yeah.
fighting games, or with the new multiverses, and they're better with they're better with the Switch stick, whatever the case may be. Like the fact that this options, I don't think there's nothing wrong with having more options available to the community if it's not going to hurt the community. So I think it's a win all around.
Facts. This is something a lot of people's been wanting too. So I mean, it's good whenever companies can kind of work together, and like you said, Nintendo, they usually have kind of a they're usually assholes when it
Yeah.
comes to like working with others, right?
Yeah.
And so like it's nice that all you'd need is a Bluetooth connection on your PC and you're
Yeah.
good to go for a Switch now. Um,
hmm
but guys,
Nintendo is a
oh,
stubborn
sorry,
company
what
for
were
sure.
you saying, Kev?
I was gonna say they're pretty stubborn, for sure.
Very
Oh
yes.
yeah,
They've loosened
for good
up.
reason.
Like you saw it with Smash. Like they're getting on. I think they want to protect their IP as much as possible, like the traditions and stuff. That I think they're all bought in on the Nintendo brand. That's the most important thing. So they won't bend
Yeah.
so much. But they're learning there's other sort of extremities of their business, for lack of better words, that they could be
Mhm.
flexible with.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I have some very sad news for
Oh,
our
no.
last story. The Arrowverse, as we know it, will end this year with the Flash. This
Ooh.
next year with the Flash, actually. The fastest man alive will finally hit the brakes. And no, I'm not talking about Ezra Miller, even though I'm sure Hawaii wishes he would. As the Flash ends its long run on the CW with successful 2011 Arrow run, and officially turned into an entire small screen DC universe dubbed
Mhm.
naturally the Arrowverse. It is also the last show in that universe still standing. The rest of the Arrowverse is all long gone. So long live the Arrowverse. We will await the 10-year reunion special, which I'm sure we will get. But what do you guys think about the Arrowverse finally coming to an end? Will it be missed, or is it about time to go?
Oh, I'll let you
It's
go first 'cause I
time.
got a lot to say.
Yeah, it's time. It's time. Like all good things come to an end, right? Like everything has to have an ending. And I think this was
Mhm.
in a position where it's like they never knew when it was going to end, and that's why Arrow started to kind of fall away at the end, right? Like all these shows, because like when Arrow came out, it had a different sort of vibe, aesthetic, a theme to the
Definite,
show,
yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
then they started introducing some characters that are more, fantastical, like the Flash and things like this, and it
Mhm.
somehow like contaminated the identity of Arrow, and it was never the same after the show did that. So it had been kind of just dying after that, right? Because when you lose that foundation of what started it, and if that goes, it's only a matter of time for everything crumbles because you're starting to lose context, and it's the whole thing that's why they're not, that's why Marvel's doing things in phases in the movies, right? Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
they're not letting their candles fizzle out. They're letting them chill for a little bit, but they're not letting them go completely out. And I think it's been like I said, I tried getting back into watching The Flash recently, and just it was hard because I hadn't watched in so long, and I think I just forgot some of the context around the plot.
You can
But
also like get out of like I think like when I first started it, I was like, okay, the CW-ness of it's okay. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
I've just been watching Arrow. I could get some of the drama elements that were a little bit
yeah,
soapy. You know what I
that
mean?
was
Like,
yeah,
but then once you get out of watching those style shows for a while, and then you go back, you're like, this is the cheesiest shit I
Yeah,
have
that
ever watched,
yeah, it's true.
and I
yes.
cannot like. But I mean, I will give Flash this. It had some cool elements. Arrow did too. I
Yeah,
mean, we were all. I
yeah.
can't act like I wasn't hooked on Arrow. I'm not going to sit here and
Oh,
lie to
No,
the viewers. Like,
no, yeah,
no,
definitely. It
yeah,
was one of those it was a great thing. I've loved it, like, the whole Arrowverse since day one. Was a
yep,
major fan. Like I said, Arrow was such a I don't want to say revolutionary show, but like I said, it was so grounded in
yeah,
reality, and it brought the
yes,
DC comics to a new, I want to say, to a whole new community. And
yeah,
how they did things, like you said, those first good 3 to 4 seasons, it was just about a man on a revenge quest for his family, and then
yep,
him realizing that it wasn't what he thought. So then he went on a penance
yep,
about what he did to try to right his wrongs. And then, like I said, when
yeah.
they started, and then we were excited when they brought in the Flash, because at that time it was like, oh, this is awesome. But
Right.
like you
The
said,
DC universe is
added,
here.
yeah, it added an element of that fantastical about it. And it's like once you reach this point, it's like
Yeah.
then you try to
You
go
can't put
back.
the toothpaste back
Yeah,
in the
it's
tube.
yeah, and it's
Yeah.
like,
yeah.
well, because then you start using your brain, and you're like, well, you just call the
Yeah.
Flash and
There's
wrap
a
this
bunch
up,
of
you
shows
know?
that do that where they bury the lead, right? Like they'll bury the lead
Hmm.
like Westworld is kind of at that point. I don't know if you guys have recently watched Westworld.
Bro, I just got
Um
back into it, and
I've
goddamn,
yeah.
what
wanted
is
to,
going? This show's insane.
yeah.
Yeah, like at some point if you bury the lead too early on, you start running out of ideas. Side note, this season's decent. It's not terrible. Nothing's ever
It's
Westworld season 2, but
I don't want this to
uh
turn into like hyping up Westworld right here at the end,
yeah,
considering that like. But
yeah.
honestly, the season hasn't been bad. I'm gonna give it
No,
Right.
that
it
too.
hasn't.
Like I'm just
It hasn't been. They're definitely stealing, basically plagiarizing the Matrix. Like not
yeah.
trying
Hmm.
to. No spoiler alerts, but it's not bad. Man, it's a formula that
I love
works.
Savage
Yeah,
said, "You have failed this city," and like that was what, like
yeah,
That is funny, but yeah, I think they just ripped themselves in a horrible corner towards the latter.
yeah,
yeah,
Because I started, as people dub it, hate watching more or less the Flash, but I love the
yeah.
other spin-off stuff. Like I love DC Legends of Tomorrow's.
Oh, that
I
was such a
loved
great
all, yeah, and
show.
because it
That
was
was such
such
an
a
underrated show.
like you knew this was like I went into DC like Legends knowing this is going to be the most campiest of camp, the most
Yeah,
hilarious things,
And
going
that-
back, meeting
Yep.
Obama, and all. Like I knew this
But-
was
and
going to
that-
be.
And that first season was that, but then
Meeting Obama,
'cause,
that was
like the
hilarious,
first
actually.
season they were like trying to be serious, and
They
then
were
I think after
trying,
they
yeah.
realized it, they just steered into it and became like a Guardians of the Galaxy situation where
for
it's
the
like they're doing
for the
some ridiculous
timeline.
shit. Right.
I
Yeah,
may need to go
exactly.
back and watch it. I think I only watched that first season. So
Oh no, the
Yeah.
like I said, they meet Obama, they go back and do this, do that. Then
Yeah.
there's tons of running gags, and even
Yeah.
when they interpretate all the other like Arrowverse elements, and when they bring in other Arrowverse characters, I
Yeah.
felt
Right.
like they did them better. Like
Yeah.
Damien Dark, and when they brought in the
Yep.
Reverse
Yeah.
Flash, they made
Yeah.
people seem more formidable, and I think it just goes down to the writing, because it went down to the sense that the writer himself
Yeah.
even said it, that he was spread too thin, especially when
Yep.
they grabbed Supergirl from NBC, and they even made a joke in they're saying that what do you think this is, some CW romance? Because they always
Yeah.
have like this weird three-way type of thing between either two
Yeah.
guys, two girls,
Love
or two
triangles.
girls, one guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was what they did, and
Yeah.
it just got to the point to, especially in the Arrowverse, it wrote itself in a corner. And then when they started bringing in not even just more shows, but better shows, because
Yeah.
Superman and Lois is amazing.
I heard that.
Stargirl
I've heard it's good.
is amazing, but these were written by separate teams and on two, like, well, not different platforms, but Stargirl started on HBO Max first,
Right.
and then went to CW. So it had like a higher budget, a different writing team. It wasn't associated with the Arrowverse, and neither was, like, even though Superman was on there, they kind of literally did the cut off the limb thing. It was like, we're our own set stuff, so they feel different. And like I said, it's come to that point to where it definitely, like I said, they ripped themselves in the hole, and I think they're just trying to cut their losses because they know that they've seen the backlash, the whole getting trashed on different things, and it's like, it's the writing, it's the graphics, it's the VFX, it's the storytelling, it's this or that, and they're just not all firing.
They
at
never
full cylinders.
evolve. They never evolve.
Yeah,
I think that's
and
what
it seems like he keeps and it's like he's devolving. Like, you've learned this lesson back in season 4. Why are we retreading this in season 7 and 8? Like,
They did.
Why are
they
we
did
doing
super
this?
repetitive.
It had a gimmick.
but repetitive. Yes,
It had a gimmick. They got point to you realize, oh, these are just gimmicks. You know,
Mhm.
again,
Yeah.
like
gimmick season, doing the whirlwind, gimmick season. I
Yeah.
can phase through stuff, and then
Yeah.
them never using those amazing, powerful abilities to just like nip
Right.
it in the bud real quick, no matter
like
what it is.
they didn't age well, right? Like they try to get too gimmicky, especially with like the CG elements, and then it just, you had seen so much better CG in other shows, let alone movies,
Oh yeah.
that just didn't look as cool as it once did.
Well,
Yeah.
then Disney Plus really coming out with some of the
Yeah.
superhero stuff they've
Mhm.
done kind of put the
Yeah.
final nail, I think, in the Arrowverse, right? It just wasn't the
Mhm.
quality, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So like, which I mean, honestly, and this is a great caveat into our next big top story, which is, about HBO and all of the bullshit that's been going on there. It turns out the Arrowverse isn't the only DC property on the chopping block. Unless you've missed it this past week, there's been a whirlwind of stories coming from HBO and DC. So tonight, we actually wanted to make that our top story. DC, oh no. So, after a week of rumors and apocalyptic speculation on the state of Warner Brothers Discovery, the company finally revealed some of its plans for the future during an investor call this past Thursday. While much of what CEO David Zaslav? Zaslav? I guess?
Zaslav, yeah.
Zaslav. I think they just call
okay.
him Z. I know a lot of people just call him Z. But had to say was far from doom and gloom projected by many. The executive's comments on this week's cancellation of the Batgirl movie and what the DC universe will look like going forward has even raised more questions. So let me just give you guys a little bit of a rundown of kind of everything that's come out this past week around DC, which is insane when you think about it, because DC is usually the sleepy, brother to Marvel. We'll hear something every 6 months or whatever. But literally this past week, we heard that Batgirl was canceled for being brand damagingly bad. Test screenings were basically saying that the movie was so bad that it could damage DC's overall brand, so it got canned. But it's interesting because I actually read earlier that Batgirl was getting similar ratings as Black Adam with test screenings. So we'll make that what it is. But the plan is to can some of the lesser known hero projects and free up the budget to reboot some of the big films. DC thinks Marvel will start to be on the decline after Black Panther 2, and that's when they'll be able to hit back. They believe that they have a yeah, no, they have well, they think so. The big thing is they think they have a 10-year window before Marvel starts to reboot some of the stuff, right? So they think that we have a 10-year window before we see like a reboot of Iron Man. And they even mentioned Captain America, which I don't think there's any plans to reboot Captain America. I'm pretty sure Sam is just Captain America
Yeah, that's
now.
pretty
So-
much
They have a
yeah.
Captain. That's the
and
thing
so-
that they're dumb. They didn't do their basic homework. That Marvel hasn't rebooted
I know.
anything.
And this
They
was all
didn't-
like these
they
are
didn't
all
boot
like,
anything down. This is just a continuation. Like they're
Oh,
not
and,
stopping.
I have to. I guess I have to caveat it with these are all leaked from the investor call, right? So it's kind of like, and so, but they think during that 10-year period, they can spend as much money as possible on Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, and Aquaman, rebooting those films. The new DC cinematic universe will actually start with Black Adam, and Black Adam 2 will bring in Superman. And so that's kind of an interesting one. HBO Max is not folding. It's actually going to be combining with Discovery Plus. While HBO has laid off about, I think it was like 60 to 70% of staff, that is actually, I was talking to Dodd, our producer, a little bit about it. This is kind of like a common thing with a lot of mergers. It's not necessarily to say that they're failing. It is and I'm not defending them. I'm just letting you guys know a little bit about corporate bullshit. A lot of the same jobs at Discovery Plus were also at HBO Max. And so about 30 to 40% of that layoff could have just been laying off repetitive jobs. And so, well, some of it is definitely something to be worried about, in my opinion. But the budgets on Max Originals are going to be cut. So Penguin, Arkham, plus Blue Beetle could be dead in the water, even though it's been said by some insiders that those will begin shooting in January. So we'll just have to see. They haven't been shot yet. So it's one of those things where there's always they could be axed. And that leaves Doom Patrol in the air too. I don't know if there's any Doom Patrol, Teen Titans, the new Harley Quinn animated show. There's a lot of stuff that's been kind of in the works that I feel like has actually been quality stuff that, you know, we're going to have to really kind of keep an eye on during this 10-year reset, if you will.
Peacemaker,
even. Yeah. Holy shit. It's been good too.
Great. Yeah.
What a Young Justice has been amazing. Like Young
Justice has been really good.
So adult oriented and so good. Like I personally loved it. And like I said, it's one of those things like I'm scared.
This feels too micromanaged, and I think this is why Marvel succeeded, because Disney makes good products because they trust the studios and whoever they acquire to do their job. They're not going to buy you if Disney needs to bail you out every time, right? So they don't micromanage a lot. Like Marvel's doing Marvel movies because it's run by the Marvel people. Disney's just collecting the checks.
Yeah.
You know, Warner Brothers aren't doing that with DC. They want their hand in everything. That's why they're like, oh no, they're basically saying we're going to put everything on pause and we're going to delay and launch our universe at the same time Marvel is rebooting ours, and we're just going to beat them to the finish line. And they're not realizing that this isn't a race.
Now,
like, that's like Marvel's been doing this for 10 years and they had it methodically planned out.
Now
like
I'm not
Disney,
done,
DC, Marvel, Warner Brothers saw what Disney's doing. It's like, oh, we have comic book characters. We have Batman and fucking Superman. Like, let's just throw them into a DC universe without any type of story or build up. We don't even need to tell stories. Let's show them on screen fighting CG monsters and everyone's going to love it. That's why all those movies, except the Batman, have been ass.
So,
and Suicide Squad, the new Suicide Squad.
Cape kind of alluded to it in chat earlier. He said at least we have a Flash move. Oh, wait. But we still do, apparently. They came out and said, bizarrely enough, it looks like the Flash movie will still be coming out.
Wow.
And so this is a quote from Z over here. We have some great DC films coming up: Black Adam, Shazam, and The Flash, and we're working on all of those. We're very excited about them. We've seen them. We think they're terrific, and we think we can make them even better. So we're still getting that Flash movie with, I guess, Ezra Miller, and which is like, what? Like, how the fuck does that happen? I'm so confused by that. But then that's not it, guys. We also had Lady fucking Gaga confirmed for Joker 2.
Oh
yes.
And then and they still had no mention of where movies like Joker fits into their 10-year plan, because it sounds like they're trying to do something more Marvel-esque with a Kevin Feige and everything, like we have phases, if you will, right? Where do these one-off? I mean, I thought Joker was brilliant. At least, where do these one-off kind of art pieces fit in? And so But Lady Gaga was confirmed for that. The musical part has not been confirmed. So
Yeah.
everybody save your hate for that one. And then one of the last stories that kind of came out from all of this was that WB confirmed new movies will no longer be releasing on HBO Max after 45 days in theater. And so that was one of their big things they did during COVID. They were either releasing them at the same time or within 45 days they would be on Max. They're cutting that. They've also released or actually took off a few HBO Max originals with literally no explanation. HBO has yet to make an announcement as to why a few of these are missing. None of them that anybody's probably really heard of or cared about. One of them was American Pickle, which was Seth Rogen's movie. But anyway, like crazy stuff coming out of DC and Warner Brothers. What do you guys think about the move to cut all these shows and movies? Do you think cutting some of these smaller properties to make room to reboot Superman and Batman, do you think that's the right idea?
I don't know. Like it's like so DC I think has this problem in general where their two breadwinners, Batman and Superman, are just have this dichotomy of their what makes their stories great. Like Batman's just a regular dude. He doesn't fight all of his villains. None of them have really superpowers except maybe Bane, right? They're also
Yeah.
just kind of, they're just normal criminals with personalities. And I think that's why like Batman's comics and stories
Poison Ivy's
thrive
a
on
legit mutant.
well, yeah, Poison Ivy, but like for the most part, right? Like
Yeah.
so like Batman just thrives off of the nature of the characters within Gotham, right? Like where it's Superman, it's because he's so spectacular. He's fucking Superman. So when you bring those worlds together, it's hard to do that in like live action movies, I think. Where it's like Marvel just all blends across the board, right? There isn't like not there's not like a Marvel doesn't have a Batman per se, right? Like you could say Tony Stark, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
he basically wears his suit all the time. So he's always Iron Man. He's never not Iron Man. Where Batman is Bruce Wayne and Batman all the time. So I think they just haven't figured out how to sort of blend these worlds together and build a story that makes sense of how they exist in the same universe.
Yeah, they haven't built that cohesiveness that
Yeah.
Marvel has.
They have in
you
the
know?
comics, kind of. They have, well, not kind of. They have, but it's
Yeah.
just like DC and Warner don't have. They feel like they don't have that kind of time.
What do you
So they're
think,
trying.
Frisky? Do you think DC can right this ship and compete with Marvel, or do you really even think they have to compete with Marvel? Like, is the fact that we make them compete just capitalism at its worst?
Oh, it's definitely capitalism at its worst. But cause I love DC through and through. And I honestly wish they would have right around when all this stuff happened, like not this right here was going on, but when the movie stuff happened, and I would have personally, because that was right when the DC Metal event
Mm.
happened, and I
Yeah.
would have honestly, especially in hindsight, seeing what the hell is going on with Ezra and everything else going on, and with them not really wanting to use Superman, maybe not so, and canceling the Superwoman movie that was supposed to come, all this stuff. Like I would have loved if they would have centered it around more around Batman and the DC Metalverse, and you seeing these different forms of Batman, but takes on the different superheroes. If you ever read the Metalverse, the metal like issues, but I would rather them do something like that and go a different route than try to emulate what they're doing, what Marvel is doing, and then do it horrible. But not even I don't want to say horrible because certain movies were good, some were bad. But it was like nevertheless, they didn't keep going. They didn't keep to the gun. They saw the backlash, and instead of saying no, this is our plan. We have a goal. Let's just get through it. Let's keep going. They will see something. Oh no. Let's revert back. Let's say no. Stop. We got to redo this now. And they kept doing that so much to where we got to this point now, to where if we're not even looking at the stuff with Ezra being crazy, or are we having a Superman? Is Batfleck still Batfleck? Who
Yeah.
knows?
Right.
Because now he's back and did reshoots for certain
He's
like
for
no one.
Aquaman, yeah.
Yeah, no one
Yeah.
knows what's going on, and
Yep. So
I think that
disorganized.
confusion, yes, I think that confusion is hurting them in so many levels because no one knows what to report. I saw
Yeah.
that I was reading earlier while I was looking at everything we was talking about, and where there was people rumors saying that certain stuff was canceled already, and people was worried about the Blue Beetle series and things just like that, because now
Yeah.
everyone is in a hands up as what's happening, what's going on. What
Yeah.
all does this
Yeah,
cover?
Savage was popping off in chat about Blue Beetle. I know he was super
Yeah,
excited about.
and because over the past month we've seen no clips, but we've seen the shots on set,
Right.
and the suits looks masterful. I can't think of his name, but he looks amazing as Blue Beetle, and it's like just from the visuals alone, without any of the CGI, I'm like, this is looking great. Like,
Yeah.
and if they adapt the story well enough about Blue Beetle being basically, him being a part of the Blue Beetle like collective hive mind, but having a change of heart because of the Blue Beetle that they're using with now, because I know there's multiple Blue Beetles, of course, but like who knows what they're doing? I don't think they honestly know, and I think they're such more reactionary instead of hate it or love it. Kevin Feige saying, "This is my plan. We're gonna do this." We've about 3 or 4 years ago, people were like, "We want X-Men now. We want X-Men now," and Kevin Feige is like, "No, we got them
Yep.
coming. They're
Yeah.
coming, but we're
We're
not
not gonna
doing it
rush
now."
it.
Yeah, we're not
Yeah.
rushing it, and we finally seen the fruits of that labor come out, and it's like, oh, this does makes more sense. How y'all did it is I wouldn't have done it through starting off with Miss Marvel, but it's like one of those things.
Yeah.
Like I see y'all doing it, and I'm okay with it. But DC has been so reactionary with
Yep.
be it backlash from the fans or monetary backlash or
Yep.
backlash from these whole the stuff that they
Yeah.
have no control over Ezra doing stuff. But
Right.
then we see that they're not even doing anything because of the Ezra stuff, because
Yep.
there's been
I
talks.
really think they're just going to CGI another guy's face onto Ezra Miller's body.
1000%.
Like,
Yeah.
I think that's what's going to happen. Like,
Yeah.
There's been a lot of talks about them actually. Nothing's confirmed. I watch a lot of movie stuff, and they were saying that they could see that instead of it being the Flashpoint, that them saying Batman Flashpoint, and to where they kind of minimize the scenes of Ezra to an extent, and they more focus on Batman, the Keaton Batman, Batfleck, and Supergirl in the sense of what's happening and whatever story they tell, to try to tweak it as much away from Ezra, because we know, with at least without a doubt, 100%, I can say that after this movie, we will never see Ezra Miller deal with anything DC related. So I can see them try to clean up stuff, pivot, be it change what they can to an extent to tell this story cohesively enough to where it's not centered around, like Flash's Flashpoint, about his story, about his mom, this, that, and the other.
That's what I wanted, though. So that is like, Flash is one of my favorite characters in the Justice League. So whenever they mentioned, they listed out their top characters. It was Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and Green Lantern. They didn't even include Flash, which I thought was like, what the fuck? Like, man, fuck
the
me.
best man alive?
Yeah, like the best man alive ain't even in there. And Aquaman, like, I get it. They love Momoa. DC and Warner Brothers, they know they have their Aquaman, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, they're really like all in on Momoa. They love Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman.
She's great.
They think she's a great Wonder Woman. I think her acting's a little bland, but whatever.
She
I
plays
really
a good
do.
Wonder Woman.
That first Wonder Woman, I was like, this is a good movie. This is
Let's
good,
not talk
right?
about two, please.
That second Wonder Woman
let's
movie,
not talk about
garbage.
I couldn't watch it. I
trash
started
movie.
it, and I was like,
It's,
I get like the '80s nostalgia thing is cool right now, but '80s acting was never great, and that's why
the storytelling was so bad. They had
Yeah.
you have such cool villains and you
Wiig,
do everything
like-
horrible. Like, how do you have this?
Yeah, but I really do. I do think
I
DC.
had hopes for it too. That's just crazy because the first one was so good.
The first one was. I did kind of go in with. I think I may have had too high of expectations because of how good the
Even
first
Batman
one
and
was, but-
Superman was really good. Like how they portrayed her being this strong central, when she drops down and fucking like boom, takes that shield blast, and you see everybody else like, who is this? And like you see her going, I'm like, yo, and then like to see it feels like they quote unquote just made her your stereotypical quote unquote woman.
Yeah.
And it was like she seemed very like weak and playing on emotion and like all this thing you would think when people say, "Oh, she's a woman." These are woman things, and it was filled with that. I was like,
They wanted to humanize her, but
I did not like how
But
they
she's a god.
portrayed her. Yeah,
fuck
but
that.
she's exactly. Like y'all forget who she is.
Yeah,
Like,
DC, I think they can still right the ship. I think because I'm a fan. I'm gonna watch some of the stuff they put out, especially if it looks quality, right? But I do think you guys hit a lot of really great points as far as like it's the complete and utter almost chaos that is DC right now. Like they don't have the plan. They don't have, and so they're saying now they have a 10-year plan that they're going to come out. They're going to let us know they're going to have phases and bullshit, right? And they're announcing directors and everything. And so we'll have to stand by. We'll see what happens with DC, see if they can actually right this ship. But, as of I'm a guy who's been a DC fan like his whole life, it's been just a constant roller coaster of bullshittery. While it feels like over a decade, Marvel's had a clear cut plan of like,
not
here's
even
what we're doing,
close.
here's what
And the
And
funny
so-
thing is, before like shit, 10 like 8 years ago, or even like 5 years ago, it was always like, oh yeah, well at least DC has them on like the television platforms, right? Because they had the Arrowverse. And then Marvel was like, all right, our movies are over. Let's just take over streaming. And
let's put the quality
yeah,
in not only the VFX, but the quality in having actors you've seen and actors like.
Yep.
Granted, I love now in hindsight,
Yeah.
I love Grant Gustin,
Yeah.
but all I knew him from was he was on a few episodes of Glee at first. And so when they announced him, I was like, who is this? Is this going to be a musical? And I love the musical thing that, they had a few musical episodes because of different characters that would make things be, and it was like, oh, this is funny and cheesy. But like, you didn't know who these actors were that was portraying. Same thing with Supergirl. She was coincidentally, she was also in Glee because they all have, for some reason, amazing voices. And
I think it begs, like if you were in Glee, like if you're the one guy in Glee that can't sing, you know what I mean?
Right. That's an issue. But they did that a lot, and the only star power kind of that the Flash, the Arrowverse in general had was Officer West's Officer West. He was, in Rent, who was also a musical thing. I digress. That's not about music, but it's like that was the only person you see. I've known from a lot of theater and theatrics.
Yeah.
But while you see, okay, we have our TV show / streaming service thing. You got people like, oh, we got Oscar Isaac, we got so and so, we got this, we got that, and you like, oh, I know these names, and it's like they have such a so they came in hard and strong, and be it if you like certain things or not of their show, we can't deny that it has staying power and everything.
And also
else.
too, I don't think DC knew what they had at the time too, right? Like when Arrow first started, it was like what, 2012, late 2012.
Yeah.
That was the same year that Avengers came out, right? So it's like they didn't know. I don't think they ever had the intention. Maybe they did have the intention to go into the Arrowverse. I just don't think they knew what to do with what they had. Like you said before, they were being reactionary as opposed to having like this long,
I think that's the best word to describe WB.
Yeah, because like I said, after
they've never been proactive. They've always been reactive.
And I think that's why they that's why they casted the way they did, because they didn't plan it to be such a big hit. And which is ironic, because then people learn to love and grow these faces, right? Like, or sort of grow towards these people, these characters.
Yeah, people wanted the guy who played.
People wanted Grant Gustin to be actual movie Flash.
Yeah, especially since that crossover that they did, where we see them together, that they are.
And this is how. Go ahead.
No, they was saying they're interchangeable in the sense that they're both recognized as the Flash. So it's like, why not?
and then that led to the ultimate cop out of them saying, we had no foresight for any of this. Oh, it's the multiverse. You know, like each
overall, like it's all canon. You know, like
it's all canon, just in its own special way.
But they did, it sucked because they, like I said, they I hate watched a lot of it, and if you go by the story that they told. And I love that they did their events, and like I said, they were reactionary on everything, because after the whole back in 2012, after the Avengers thing, they started doing their Avengers style. They even said, everybody was describing it as the Avengers style team ups, where they would do their big crossover stuff, and then they did they did not only the elsewhere titles, but they did the I can't think of the storyline Crisis, where they ended the multiverse but you still got multiversal things happening because you have
Yeah.
a Superman on this Earth. You have a Stargirl on
Yeah.
this Earth that's still
Yeah.
all on CW. What is happening? Like,
And that's just within the Arrowverse, right? They're
Yeah,
saying
and then
that's canon as well as like Man of Steel, Batman versus Superman. That's all canon.
yeah,
Like,
because they
all
brought in Gans
Yeah.
Gust and
Yeah.
they brought in the Ezra, which canonizes all of that side. And then they even showed glimpses of stuff that was happening on HBO Max's with Teen Titans and stuff,
Yeah.
and during the Crisis event,
Yeah.
which but then they cancel all Crisis, it ended everything, but then it's like, but everything else is still going on in a multiversal sense, like.
yeah.
And it
Yeah.
was so when you start thinking about stuff, it was just like
Yeah.
this.
Marvel's
is
using
not-
Marvel's using the multiverse to kind of reboot. Like they can use that to reboot their franchises, which they'll probably do some of it, and it'll make sense because of the universe that
Mhm.
Marvel created already.
Yeah, with
They've already
characters or
laid the
youngers,
foundation.
yeah.
They just can't keep
It makes a
building
lot
it up,
more
tearing
sense
it down,
with how they're doing
and
it.
building it back up again. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But guys, I know that we could talk shit about DC and these
Right.
guys all day because like HBO has been
Speaking of DC and Warner,
Right, yeah, right.
Multiverse is actually
Multiverse is
great.
good.
It's really good. It's very
I've heard,
much akin to
but
Smash.
somebody,
it's great.
Like
Donkey
that's
said
what's
that
going down later.
Donkey said it best, or like he did a review of it and was like, it doesn't matter what watered down form it's in. Smash is
Yeah.
still a good video game.
Mhm.
So like multiverses is still good no matter like
Yeah.
because that whole like just Smash structure is just fucking
Yeah.
timeless, you know.
Yeah.
I did see though where it's about $170 if you want to have everybody unlocked without having
Yeah,
to
that's
pay.
not great. The character paywalls. It's free, but
Yeah,
you know,
It's free.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, we'll get into that actually in our mobile game discussion. So
Yes,
Yeah.
that's true.
that'll wrap us up for the first half of the show. Don't go anywhere though, because when we get back, we're going to be doing a deep dive into the evolution of mobile gaming with, the mobile gaming expert himself, Frisky 2 times here. We can't have a great mobile gaming streamer on the show without talking about mobile games eventually,
that just
right?
wouldn't make sense.
And so, and then we're actually going to wrap it up with our top 10 mobile games of all time. So stick around for that one. We've got a lot of show coming. We'll be back in about 5. So stick around. Finger
All
guns.
right.